I've been told my entire life, and I don't know if you've been told the same thing. Be realistic, Todd. Be realistic.
The younger generation is more hungrier than ever before.
Interesting.
Right? But at the same time, whoever is growing, as soon as people know this person is wealthier.
Same thing. Yeah, interesting. Things that were always there in front of you that you never noticed before all of a sudden turn up. And they were always there. You just weren't ready to receive the messages that are sitting actually in front of you and what's actually opportunities that are there.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of A Seed of Wisdom podcast. Today, our guest, he's an investor, an entrepreneur, a wealth educator, and he's an author of the book Escape the Middle. Please welcome, and I'm so grateful for him to have time today for us. And I know this podcast episode will be so helpful for a lot of Australians today, and hopefully we can answer all the questions we have. All have the people who are in the middle, like me, middleman, right? Please help me join Todd Polke. Todd, welcome to A Seed of Wisdom.
Mate, really appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. For a while, I wanted you to be here. And I think since this new budget,
perfect timing.
I think it couldn't be the best. I think this is the timing that a lot of Australians do need it.
Yeah,
need someone who can clarify what shit they are in right now. Because as we spoke before, we're having a quick chat. The wealthy and the lower economic or socio-economical people will be fine, we would say.
In their own ways.
Exactly. Right? But the ones in the middle like us, like me, I would say, we are screwed.
Gonna get steamrolled, man, if you don't do something about it, 100%.
Yeah. And so that's why I think it's perfect timing for our guest to have a bit of knowledge, I would say, a light that if he can shine on the paths that they can walk on.
Yeah.
Now, before dive into that, I would like to, if you can help us with just introduction, what are you doing right now? Because I know you have done a lot of different things along the way.
Yeah.
But what's happening right now?
Where are we now?
Yeah.
Yeah, background, I found myself in the middle, stuck in this place called the middle when I was 19, 20 years old. I was a broke personal trainer. And working 60, 70 hours a week, grinding it out every single day, getting up at 4 a.m, going to bed at 12 midnight, trying to run a business, doing personal training. And, I found myself at 20 years old broken. I broke my body. I went up in hospital with leg surgery on both my legs because I was overtraining and not recovering. Go Todd, personal training, can't walk. And broke my relationships because I wasn't investing time in them. I had broken personal life, and then at the end of the year, I realized I was still broke financially, and I got to the point of going, "Is this all there is?" I thought life was about so much more than just working to pay the bills. And I sat there in that moment, and I thought about 5 years' time. What if I was in the exact same position I'm in 5 years' time? Would I be happy with where I landed? And it was like a nightmare had come true in my mind, right? And it was on that moment, on that day, it was December 15 and I was 19 years old. I was sitting on the Kangaroo Point Cliffs in Brisbane after running another boot camp, yet another bloody boot camp with people. And it was one of those times where I made a true decision, right? And that true decision is the decision you make when you cut off all your excuses.
Yes.
Because people say, well, I want to make more money and I want more freedom, I want more time, I want a better relationship, I want a better health, I want to do this and all of this. But then they have a laundry list of excuses around why not me and why not now. And I believe that every single person in their life has at some point made this true decision of going, I'm going to choose to leave all my excuses behind me. And that's what I did in that moment. And, I bought my first property at 20 years old. made more in that one property deal than my entire year's income working 70 hours a week as a personal trainer. And all of a sudden I realized this valuable lesson is that profits are better than wages. And that if I didn't get my money working hard for me, I was going to spend my entire life working hard for money.
For money, yeah.
And so for the last 20 plus years, I fell in love with the world of investing. Don't get me wrong, love the money it makes, but the impact it can have on people's lives is what really is inspiring and really beautiful to me. And so, you know, I've helped people create financial freedom for the last 20 years in the world of property, in the world of shares, in the world of cryptocurrencies, in the world of business investing. And so now, you know, I run an education company coaching investors how to grow portfolios. We do a lot of private equity, capital raising, where I can get behind incredible founders that have some beautiful things to give to the planet and need the financial engine behind them to be able to do that. And we're actively growing a bunch of different businesses at the moment between my wife and I and what we're building in life. And so, you know, life's busy, but having the time of my life, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah. You're basically helping people to enjoy life and buying time back.
Right.
You know, because you have struggled in the past and you know how it feels when you're stuck in that downfall of like the spiral.
Yeah.
You're trying to go up and you just go down and down, down.
Right.
And you're thinking that working hard will get you out of it.
Yeah. It's a lie we're sold.
That's still they're selling it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you still have to go to uni and you have to do this, but
it's
you're
bullshit.
spending hundreds and thousands on a degree, but the job is still paying you way less what you studied.
Not to mention the time, you know, like I followed the path. Like I went to university because I thought that's what success was. I was programmed from where going, the school I went to, and my parents, that success was you get a degree. And so I spent that first part of my life trying to live someone else's version of success because then I would feel good enough in their eyes, right? And so I went to university and, you know, I started studying exercise science and then I started studying exercise science and business and did some education stuff in there as well. And I remember doing this business planning competition because I had this great business idea, right? And there was this business planning competition. I'm on a bit of a sidetrack now, but anyway, we'll go there. And it was supposed to be, let's build a business plan in 6 weeks and we're going to pair you with a real life mentor.
Right.
And so I started doing this and the university had this plan laid out where you need 64 pages in this business plan. You have to have this section and this section and this section and this section and it has to be done like this and it has to be like this. And I took it to this real world business mentor who actually ran a business. And he said, I would never invest in this. I would never even read it. I'm not even going to get past the first page. We tore it up, created a 4-page business plan, which was boss. And I failed the business planning competition because I didn't hit their criteria of what I was supposed to do. And it was at that moment that the final piece of confidence in the education system, I lost it at that time and I quit university within days afterwards.
Wow.
Because none of it, I realized that lecturers never run a business. Just like a government, they've never run a business, yet they're trying to direct an entire economy. And there's a lack of integrity. How can you possibly know what people need unless you've actually been in those shoes and you actually understand what is needed there? Yeah. And the challenge that we have, and this is why I wrote this book, was our entire lives we're programmed. This budget, that's not the real story. It's just the latest bit of noise. But over the last decades and decades of our life, there's been a systematic creep on our liberties. And most people are sold this script in life, which is what we all know.
Yes.
Go to school, study hard, get good grades, because then you can get a safe, secure job. Then you start exchanging time for money. You buy a home with a nice fat mortgage on it to impress your friends and buy lots of shit you don't need. And the word mortgage means agreement until death. That's a good thing to note. And then you pay your taxes and you put some money away for a rainy day. You put money away in a superannuation, which is failing people at an epic level. And then you rinse, wash, repeat for the next 40 years or 50 years of your life.
Yeah.
And then you sit there and go, hang on. When I was a child, when I was 5, 6, 7, is this what you believed life was going to be about? Or did you believe that you were meant for more? Did you believe that life was about something that doing what you love and doing incredible things, having time, adventure, experience, travel, giving back? Like, what was it for you to back then? You know, I always hear this thing is that adults are just deteriorated children. Because over the years, we're systematically programmed to settle and settle for far less than what we deserve and settle to this. We're programmed to arrive in this place called the middle, and middle level of income, middle level of freedom, middle level of time, middle level of opportunity. And most people stay there their entire lives.
Yeah.
And what everyone needs to know is that they don't have to. There's a pathway out.
That's true. And whoever tries to get out of the middle,
Right.
or they try their best to push it down.
Crabs in the bucket syndrome,
Yeah.
mate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, yeah? Like the crabs in a bucket.
No.
If you put a bunch of crabs in the bucket,
Yeah.
and Australia's amazing at this, right?
Right.
You put a bunch of crabs in a bucket. Invariably, there's one crab that goes, screw this, I'm getting out of this shit, right? And they work on top, and they might, crawl their way up a little bit, and they throw one claw over the top of the bucket, and they start to pull themselves up. But the other crabs, they go grab their legs and they pull them back down again into the bucket. No, don't go, stay with us.
Yeah.
And this is what we do as an incredible job at as a country, right? Like
Yeah.
the tall poppy syndrome and everything there is that if you start to stick your head out, you're going to get it chopped off. And stay with us, because that means that we are safe. I've been told my entire life, and I don't know if you've been told the same thing, be realistic, Todd. Be realistic. And when other people say be realistic, what they're trying to say is, can you please fit into the box of the world what I believe is possible, so I don't have to challenge myself. I don't have to feel challenged by you actually going ahead and stepping ahead in life, because then I have to look at myself.
Insecurities.
Insecurities, yeah.
Yeah. And you see, it's funny you said that. I recently was watching this video on YouTube, and this young guy who's been working for so many years since he's teenager, like he does drop shipping or whatever, doesn't matter, and he just bought a new Ferrari.
Yeah,
right.
Love it.
And he was taking photo or something, and this woman walked past, and she said, "You can only dream about it."
Yeah.
And he was like, well, and he pressed the button, and he said, "My dream came true already." And then she flipped. She's, "Oh, good on you. I'm very proud of you." But why do we do that?
Interesting, hey?
Yes, maybe even if he's renting it, but maybe he's like manifesting it.
Right.
So instead of saying you can achieve it, you can only dream about it.
Yeah.
So, I think insecurity in people at this time of where we're living now in this world is high. They don't know how to move forward in life, but they don't let anybody move forward either.
Right.
And that's when you say, like, come back to the box, be realistic.
Yeah.
You can't buy a Mercedes anymore.
Yeah.
Why? Because the taxes are going up, the budget is da-da-da.
Right.
Find a system.
Yeah. Yeah.
And talking about system, I think that's where you come in now.
Yeah.
About your system. And Todd, what I would like to start now or wanted to know is, we can go two different ways.
Sure.
Would you like to talk about what's happening presently with the financial situation in Australia? Or would you like to... I think we should start with this.
I agree.
Then
I completely agree.
We can add on how you can help everyday
Yeah.
Australians now.
Yeah, let's talk about the elephant in the room and the
Yeah.
stuff that's happening right now. I think it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it's going far beyond everybody's imagination now. Because people, you can see in supermarkets, everybody's like, no, we don't need it now. The kids, we want this, mom, no, we can't have it, we can't afford it.
Yeah.
So what's happening?
Yeah. A lot of people are hurting, and it's really sad to see. And this isn't a new thing, right? That's what I said before. This has been going for a long period of time, and we've seen it in places like the GFC, and there was an impact on that, and that took away a lot of optionality and choices for certain people. And we've seen the wars, and we've seen the impact that that has had on the cost of goods and people's ability to be able to get ahead in life. We've seen inflation skyrocket, and which is caused by the government, extreme government spending, right? There's a serious cause and effect relationship, and they're trying to blame it on other things, but it's a government impact, right? And the impact that this had on people. Then we saw COVID and how all of a sudden we're now conditioned that it's okay to be locked up and told that we can't do things, and that there's a get people into the toilet paper frenzy and things that people are in.
That was crazy.
It was just mad, man. And, we're in another period right now where there's wars going on overseas and interest rates have gone back up again and the cost of living has gone back up and cost of fuel has gone back up. And it can feel like a lot of people that are squeezing on all sides. And this is where people get into this lack and the scarcity type of mentality in life, right? And I understand why that's the case, because it is challenging and it is a situation where I'm hearing a lot of people and the media is blasting this everywhere. Oh, cost of living crisis this, and young people can't get into their own home this, and it's impossible to do this. And it's just this noise that just comes out constantly, ongoing. And, the biggest thing about this budget is that, and what everyone really has to realize more than anything, despite there's some facts and some things in it, and let's talk about that 100%, what we really need to understand is just another set of noise. And it's been coming in different ways for quite a period of time now. This is just the latest, right?
Yes.
The Labor government has been posing to get rid of negative gearing and capital gains for decades. Every election cycle that comes up, you see it in the newspapers come back out. Oh, scrapping negative gearing, doing this. But it was very clear it was kind of coming this time because the Liberal Party shit the bed, for want of a better word, and Labor all of a sudden has no one that's going to stand up for them. And so they've been looking to push this through for a long time. And so now they found their window, and it was very clear it was going to be happening this time. And they started this process with the superannuation taxing balances of $3 million and above. And so that was a recent thing. They got that through. Great. That gives them a bit of confidence. Let's go push this through the marketplace now. Behind all the noise, nothing changes in the world of investing. Nothing changes in the world of that. If you want to create a different outcome in your life, you've got to choose to leave your old rules behind of how you're playing the game of life. The rules of the money game of life that we're taught were never designed to help you create wealth. They were never designed to help you create freedom. They were designed to make you a good boy and girl who do what you're told and pay your taxes, a functioning cog in the economic wheel of society. That's what they were designed to do. But I'm a firm believer in radical responsibility. And despite the fact that we were taught these from such a young age, at some point we've got to go, I am responsible. Even at a young age, I chose to take those on and I chose to keep following that same pathway year after year, decade after decade, even after I already realized that it was not working. We have to go, okay, I'm going to own everything part of this. We can't control what the government is doing. We can't control the war overseas. We can't control any of that. The only thing that we have control over is how we think and what we do.
Yes.
And how we feel about it, right? And the meaning that we give it. And so despite the fact when all of this feels outside of our control and we can't do this and we can't do that, we got to sit there and go, now's the time to take radical responsibility. Great. There's a lot of things happening. What can I do right now, which is going to help me take a baby step forward towards the future that I want to create, rather than just drifting, playing by the old set of scripts, right? And so all the noise out there, it's real and there's stuff, but all it means is that we have to change our approach and what we're going to do things. And maybe we're not going to use trusts anymore. We just have to reposition into a company structure if you're building business or you're investing in entities.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not going to focus on, the negative gearing. I mean, I think negative gearing is, you never invest for negative gearing purposes anyway, like just stupid investing.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go.
Just for the people who don't really understand negative gearing, could you explain them?
Yeah. So negative gearing is a tax benefit you get when the cost of owning your asset is higher than the income you receive.
Okay.
So, for example, if you have a property and if your the property might be worth, I don't know, $800,000. Now that property, you might owe some money on it. So you might owe $650 on it, for example, and it may only be renting for $650 a week. That property is going to cost more to hold in terms of the mortgage and rates and body corporate if you have it and maintenance and all and property management fees than the income you get in. And so what negative gearing, how it worked, and it still works in a certain stance, is that you'll get a tax benefit of the expenses that you paid over and above your income that you received. And what it really is just, what it actually is a subsidy for rent, right? And so what I mean by that is that when people could get a negative gearing benefit on the property, they didn't have to pump their rents up as high, and they had the ability to be able to keep rents lower. now that the government is removing negative gearing for existing real estate, right? New real estate, you can still have negative gearing. But now that they're removing it for existing real estate, what that means is that they've taken away the incentive to keep the rental down.
Okay.
And so we're going to see, and we saw this back in the 1980s when they did a round of scrapping negative gearing, rents increased by 20 to 30% across the country.
Wow.
We've already run this game. We know where it's going. We know what's going to happen. And so right now we're going to see rents going to start to increase, and we're starting to see it already. The impact is actually flowing on straight away. And the whole noise around, we're a government to help people get into the property. It's all bullshit. Like, there is nothing in these policies which is really going to help the underlying issue, which is we do not have enough real estate. We've got too much demand. And we need to increase supply in the marketplace. And the government has no incentive to change that because, it's 40 to 50% of every new piece of real estate that's built is taxes. And it goes straight to different governments. No one talks about that.
Yeah.
They're not unwinding any of that. I work with many construction companies and they have the rigmarole they have to go through to try and get a piece of real estate approved to actually build on the ground is unbelievable. The money and the cost and the time and all the stuff that happens. We're not doing anything to fix the underlying problem. It's just a big game of, hey, let's point at investors and make them the bad guys, or point at wealthy people, them the bad people. Because that's easier. And then in the meantime, we're going to be doing all this over here. Like, how are they addressing the fact that they're spending so much in the budget? I said to you before we started, early 2000s, we had a budget surplus.
Yeah.
20 years later, we're coming up towards $1 trillion in debt.
$1 trillion, yeah.
How does this even happen?
Who knows, man? It's, as we said, you spoke about it, about the news. They keep showing you all this bullshit that you can't think straight.
Right.
But they're not helping everyday Australians like having you on the news. Okay, Todd, could you help? Just give some tips how not to go this path that could put you down in the rabbit hole. Yeah. Which I think we will talk down the track
100%.
Now. So I agree with you, man. Like with coming from different country from India, used to see these things happening with the government and they're not doing much for the normal middle class. Middle class is always the one who gets messed up. Yeah. Because they're doing the right thing. They are the 9-to-5 people. Right. Who are trying to do the right thing. They did the studies. They got a good jobs and everything.
Good citizens, mate.
Good citizens. And, who paying their taxes on time, their everything, and they're the ones struggling. Yeah.
India is interesting to me, though. Like, it's interesting thinking about the world economies and the world, the different countries around the world and what's happening, right? And where the future is. I always like to follow the breadcrumbs and see where they lead. And it's always an interesting game for me, number one, but I think that we need to do it. We need to follow the breadcrumbs, right? And one thing which is really interesting is that the birth rate is declining at such a level in most Western countries. The US, UK, Australia. Our birth rate is 1.3 children per woman now.
Wow.
And that's declined massively. And we can't maintain the population unless it's an average of about 2.1 to 2.3 or something like that. I can't remember the exact figures, right? And so our population is declining, right? And this is happening in most Western nations, right? Yes. Massive decline in population. And so here's the thing which really happens with that. As the population declines, we've got an aging population on one side as baby boomers head further into retirement and all that type of stuff. So we've got an aging population on one side. And then we've got this declining birth rate on this side over here. And so all of the tax burden is being fallen again onto this middle cohort, right? But now we don't have the new workers coming through to be able to kind of lift the productivity in a lot of countries. Now, India is different, and some places in Africa are different, and places in Vietnam, there's some different things that are going on there, which is fascinating to me. And this is why I think India is going to be one of a growing superpower. There's Zero doubt into my mind. I'm curious around your thoughts around that. But what we're going to start to see is that in Australia, if you think about the dynamic, more of the burden to look after the elderly is going to be there. So it's going to cost more money to take care of an aging population. We have less taxpayers coming through, which means more of the tax burden is going to fall on the middle, which means that and unless they keep importing more and more people, which is why we have this massive immigration policy, which is causing the massive undersupply of real estate. And so what's going to happen is that as this starts to peter out in terms, because we don't have the birth rate coming through in the next kind of 20 or 30 odd years, we're going to start to see a decline in the livability of the country because you don't have the tax benefits, the tax income coming in to fund infrastructure. And so we're actually in a declining economy.
Yes.
Which is interesting to think about. And the US is the same, UK is the same, there's many countries which is exactly the same.
It's happening right now.
But then you've got places like India, because the average age in Australia is like 36 years old. The average age in India is like 24. And the birth rate is a lot higher, same as in places like Kenya, same as in other places. And so this understanding of where the birth rate is coming through and the impact that it's going to have on the emerging middle class. So the middle class will start to build more wealth. And it's one of the biggest things that I'm watching in global economics right now. Like that's super fascinating to me. But I'm super curious around, I don't know the Indian market so well. Is that happening on the ground? What do you see?
It's like India, the younger generation.
Yeah.
They're not starting schools or anything.
Yeah, right.
All of them are creating their own money.
Hungry. Yeah.
Because they are out of their great-grandfather's businesses and stuff.
Yeah.
And they want to do it like AI, they're learning and they're creating incomes sitting in a small village.
Right.
And they're getting paid USD.
So good.
Right. They don't have to leave their home. They have the setup. They can get, and computers, everything is cheap. In India, you can get the best. So the younger generation is more hungrier than ever before.
Interesting.
Right? But at the same time, whoever is growing, as soon as people know this person is wealthier.
Same thing. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. And it's a very crazy thing that I hate to see that, somebody's done so well, and if he buys a new car or he's doing well for the people,
right?
There's some red tapes out there like why this person is getting so much attention.
Yeah.
They have to find ways how to shut it up.
Yeah.
Check the income tax and check where the money coming from, who are the clients and da-da-da. So a lot of smart ones are trying to be quiet.
Yeah.
They're wealthier, but they're quiet. Nobody needs to know how much money they have.
I think that's smart.
And India has a lot of potential, but as we said again, the government, they do have a lot of grants coming for the AI businesses, new ideas. They give you like funding, but what happens after, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the 20 to 25 different fundings available, but you have to come back with a different idea.
Yeah.
Like how can we improve the country?
Right.
And so India has a good future, but there's a lot of things in between are broken for the younger generation. They don't have any system that they can follow. It's very hazy.
Yeah.
So that where Indian government needs to step up and help these smart ones to make the country grow.
Right.
Because if they make money, they pay their taxes.
Correct.
Right. And
they stay in the country too.
They stay in the country.
Right.
The talent stays in the country. So that's what I see in it. Because I lived in Australia for 18 years now.
Yes.
So whenever I go back from the city I came from, Chandigarh is like growing. They have the most expensive cars and everything.
Yes.
So there's a lot of wealth there. But let's see what the future holds for next 5 years in India. It'll be interesting.
So it's interesting, so there's this culture at the grassroots. There's this culture of innovation
Big
and
time.
growth and hunger.
Yeah.
And that's such a beautiful, even though there's some stuff they have to deal with, right? That's such a beautiful psychology and mentality to have coming through.
Yes.
And I think, unfortunately, Australia lacks that. Like we're very complacent, and there's a lack of productivity, there's a lack of creativity and growth in general. But it also creates, and unfortunately, because of the government squeezing everything on all sides, I've had 4 business owners in Australia going, yeah, we're done, we're out. And they're packing up and they're leaving the country. They're closing their businesses here and they're leaving the country.
So many coming now.
Yeah.
It's going to happen soon.
Yeah. And it's more and more that's happening, and we're losing that productivity and that growth and that creativity. Now, it does leave room for people who are young and hungry that want to actually get out there and innovate in Australia. But just know there's some barriers you've got to push against. But same as anything, it's not just going to lay down and wait for you. You've got to get up and go get it.
Go and get it, yeah.
And the same with your wealth and your investing and business. Like, if you're going to continue doing the same thing, you're just going to keep getting the same result. It's like it's that old definition of madness we've all heard before, right?
Yeah.
And but the opportunity is there, and it's not luck. It's not because someone was born under a lucky star. It's not because they had the right parents. It's not because they got this big inheritance. This is not any of the bullshit excuses that we like to tell ourselves, which feeds into our version of complacency of why not me and why not now. Everybody has the chance and the opportunity. It's just, are you going to take it or are you not? And we have to, at some point, we can't blame, right? We've got to go, what am I going to do? Because in the end of the day, the bill comes due. The bill comes due either you pay it now with the time and energy and effort and sometimes risk and things you've got to take to get ahead, or you pay it later in the results, because in 5 years, you're going to arrive at a place. Where that is 100% up to you right now.
Yes. So that was actually what I wanted to talk next. So we're going to talk to the people right now who want to get out of this struggling stage they are in right now with the taxes, with the government. Could you give some tips, a little help book or whatever? We have the book here, but if somebody wants to start from today, like a layman like me, like a normal 9-to-5 worker who wants to build his portfolio, what thing they need to stop doing from today to start getting the result they want? Like to buy a first property. Would you recommend them living in their first property? Would you recommend them rent vesting? Because down the track, we want people to come to you so you can help them in detail. We can just little points.
Yeah, 100%, absolutely.
Where would somebody start from today?
Yeah, it's an incredible question, and it's a really useful question, right? So, the biggest thing that has to happen from word go is that, let's talk about some psychology stuff and let's get into practicalities, right? So the first thing is you've got to make a true decision. And that's what I said. Leave your excuses behind you. All the why not me, why not now, and the government, is this hard, the government did this, and life is this, and my parents said this, and it's
noise.
Just noise. Just like leave it alone. Like you can pick it up again later if you want, right?
Yes.
But just do yourself a favor and put it all down. It's baggage. You don't need it. Let it go. And actually make a true decision. And that true decision means you don't give up at the first sign of challenge. You don't give up and the interest rates went up or the fuel went up or this happened or my friend said this or someone said this. You don't give up, right? My experience is, after working with thousands upon thousands of investors, is that people who create wealth versus those that don't isn't dependent upon the amount of money that someone has. It's not dependent on how smart someone is. I mean, I failed school. I was a terrible student. It doesn't depend on how much income you earn. What it depends on is your commitment to your outcome. It's those who are willing to move through the challenges are the ones that are going to get there, right? Now, if anyone thinks their investing journey is just going to be rainbows and unicorns and skipping down the rainbow path, you're kidding yourself. Like, just like, it's a lie. Forget about it. It's not going to happen. Shit's going to go wrong.
Yes.
You're going to lose some money along the way somewhere. Something's not going to go right. You're going to have to push against some barriers, like anything in life if you want to get ahead. Accept it ahead of time. Get over it. And when the inevitable shit happens, decide that you're going to, great, what am I going to learn from this? Step sideways and keep moving forward.
Keep moving.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's like huge step number one. I always call it that you put I believe that everyone's running their own wealth business. Now, unfortunately, the way people that run their own wealth business, that business in the real world would be broke within a heartbeat because they're not putting on their CEO hat of their own wealth creation business. The number one shift people need to make is that they understand they're running a wealth business. And as soon as you put that CEO hat on, that psychology that brings is something completely different. And that's the way we need to treat our money. Right. Not just allow it to be something which exists in life where money comes in and money just goes back out, right? Because that's what happens for most people. Like if you think about, and I call this the money map, in building your own financial farm. For most people in life, they go to work, exchange time for money. They then earn some money. Taxes go out first, superannuation goes out next, right? Then some money hits your bank account. Then you pay for your rent or you pay for your mortgage. Then you pay for your bills. Then you got your car to take care of. You got your internet to take care of. If you got kids, you got them to take care of. And then, you want to go enjoy yourself because, hey, you've worked hard. You've got to go reward yourself. You go buy some shit you don't need.
Yes.
Then if you got any money left over, you stack some away for a rainy day. And that's the flow of money of a broke person. That's the middle class flow of money that most people live.
Yeah.
So you've got to ask yourself, are you really valuing money if that's how you're treating it? That's the question. You might say you're valuing money. You might say, yes, I want financial freedom. Yes, I want this. I want this for my kids. I want to live a better life. I want to have a better home. I want more time, want more freedom, I want to give back. But what are your actions actually demonstrating?
Yeah.
And that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes.
Man, it's a majority at the moment.
It is a majority by a long shot.
Yeah.
And the first thing we've got to do beyond anything, and then we'll talk about the investing side of things, because you've got to build a personal finance system. Because if you don't have a system, I call it every time a dollar hits your bank account, it has a plan, it has a purpose. Money without a purpose is going to go to someone who has a bigger purpose for it.
True.
Right? And we've all had the experience of evaporating money in life. Money comes into our life and then it magically evaporates into the ether. It's one of those mysteries of the universe, right?
Yes.
We've all had that experience. That's because you don't have a plan for it. And money loves a job. Give your money a job that's going to work in your world. As soon as the dollar hits bank account, the plan has a purpose. Pay your future self first because your future self will thank you.
Yeah.
So set up a personal finance system. It's one of the biggest things I could say. The benefits of that are endless. And it's not just, hey, you're going to save some more money. When you have a little bit of money sitting in your bank account, you're not living paycheck to paycheck. There's a different experience that you have in life because all of a sudden you're not stressing about it so much.
Yeah.
There's an energy that money has when it's into your life. It starts to attract more because you're more settled, you're more balanced, you can make better decisions, you can think more clearly. I've been broke. I lost everything and had to start all over again. I was a broke personal trainer, struggling every single day. And I know the impact it has on your mind. You can't think clearly. You're not sleeping.
It's
well.
hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
When we can have this system which systematically allows our money to actually circulate within our life and work for us, there's a fundamental shift in everything that goes on in your world. That's step number one. Step number two is that I think everyone should be investing. No matter where you're starting from. It doesn't matter. People have this idea that, I'm an investor. It means I have to invest $100,000 or have all this, and it's just a lie. Like everybody, do what you can with what you can, what you have where you are. And if you're investing $5 a week, then you invest $5 a week, and that's what you do.
That's it. Automatic.
Because here's what happens: if you start investing $5 a week, then you start to train your subconscious, unconscious mind that this is actually important to you. As you start to train that, you start to put more attention on this area of your world. As you put more attention on it, your level of awareness starts to go up around it and your education starts to increase. As that education increases, awareness expands, you start to notice different opportunities and your psychology starts to shift all around how you're looking and how you're thinking about money. Things that were always there in front of you that you never noticed before all of a sudden turn up. And they were always there. You just weren't ready to receive the messages that are sitting actually in front of you and what's actually opportunities that are there.
Yeah.
And so wealth beyond anything is a habit. You've got to start the habit of wealth building. And that means investing if it's $5 a week is what it is, do it. If it's $100,
make a habit.
Make a habit, right? Yeah. And one of the biggest habits I teach all of my investors is to set up a money night once a week for 1 hour. That's your hour where you're going to put the CEO hat on your money and you're going to focus on your money. And you spend the first bit reviewing your goals. So you're always realigning yourself. Like, why am I doing this? What am I doing here? I'm training my subconscious mind, right? Second is you review your finances, your investments. Even if it's you got $5 in a crypto account or something, who gives a shit? Like, to start there, review it so you're always on top of it. Step 3 is what happened last week in my financial life. Did all my bills get paid? Did my money come in? Like, did everything happen how it was supposed to? How's my system functioning? Step 4 is what do I need to set up for the next week?
Yes.
That needs to happen. And so you set it up, automate it, and then you forget about it, right? And you don't have to worry about it. And then step 5, learn one new thing about money. And imagine just doing that for 1 hour once a week. And people say, I don't have time. No, come on, tell your lies to someone else. It's not true. You do have time. We don't have a time problem. We have a priority problem. What are your actions demonstrating? And that's the most important thing. I would say the third thing is when it comes to the world of investing, right? And if people want to buy their own home as an example or invest, I don't get caught up in blanket rules. I get caught up in what's going to work for your life. You know, I bought my first home as a home because I didn't have any money, so I got the first homeowners grant. Like 19 years old, I'd saved $7,000 by the time I turned 20. $9,000, sorry. That was it. I didn't have any more money, but I saved up to $9,000 after I made the decision to buy the property. Then I got the first homeowners grant, which was $7,000 at the time, and I got a 97% loan to value ratio, right? Which means my loan was 97% of the value of the property.
Wow.
I bought my first property for $291,000. I had to live there for 6 months because I had to fulfill the first homeowners grant. But did it, renovated the property while I was living in there, made $70,000 while I was living in there after doing the renovation. And then I moved out and I rent vested for the next 20 years of my life because that's what worked for my life at the time. I've got a client, James, and his partner, Portia. They're 20 years old. They've been working with me. They just bought their first home a year and a half ago now. Sorry, 2 years ago now. They pulled together their deposit. They got the first homeowners grant of like 15 grand plus the stamp duty savings plus a whole bunch of other incentives, and they did the deal. Great. They've now made $100,000 in equity in that one deal at the age of 21.
Wow.
They've now bought property number 2. So all the stuff around why not, like you can't buy your own home, it's a lie. I could name 5-6 people different right now who have bought their own homes by the age of 20, 21 years old in this day and age in the last 12 months, 18 months alone. It is possible. It's just what are you willing to do to get there? So I don't believe in blanket rules. I believe in what are we going to do that works. I've bought my own home now, and I've got my dream home. It's a rainforest and Currumbin Valley. There's 40 acres of, I can do my food forest, and I've got water there, and I've got places for my kids and their kids to build properties on if we wanted to. Like, I've got everything I want. But I bought that at age 41 when I purchased that property, right? So, but in the meantime, rent vesting was great for me to have the flexibility for my wife and my life, and for all the investment portfolio as well.
And what mistakes do you see people making right now that's affecting them to buy the property?
Doing nothing is the biggest mistake, right? So that's step number one. Like the biggest mistake anyone makes is sitting back and doing nothing. Because you're chasing property prices up the hill. And although we may have a bit of a dip in property prices, which is a little bit of a softening more than anything, the underlying fundamentals are still super strong there, and they're not changing anytime soon. There's nothing in the budget, nothing in the policy, nothing that's changing the undersupply and demand factor, which is happening in the market right now. So I think property prices, although they may soften and have some ups and downs, they're just going to keep marching up. That's what I think is going to happen. Here's when it comes to buying your first property, the biggest barrier that a lot of people face is how am I going to get this first deposit together? That's one of the biggest barriers, right? Now, there are more incentives than ever that are available to first home buyers to be able to get their foot in the door. But a lot of people aren't aware. You know, there's the government's 5% deposit guarantee scheme, where it means you only need a 5% deposit to get in your first property. You can get the stamp duty savings, which can save you a huge amount of money. You can get anywhere from a $10,000 to $15,000 first homeowners grant, depending on what state that you're coming from. There is tens of thousands of dollars of incentives available for people to do it. Now, maybe that means you can't buy your first home as $1 million home, right? And maybe it's not in the most ideal place, and maybe it's not exactly where you need it to be, and maybe it's not perfect. But at every point in time, it's a stepping stone, right? And we've got to get attached to our outcome in 5 to 10 years' time, not just the instant gratification, which we're so addicted to at this point in time. I want it, and I want it now. So I would say, number one, you want to get yourself educated around what's available to you out there. Number two, know how much a property is going to cost, and so you've got a target around what deposit do you actually need. And if you're going to buy a $700,000 property and you can get in there with a 5% deposit, that's $35,000. And stamp duty savings, you need some more for a few costs. You might need 40, 45. You're going to get half of that from the government. So you actual out of pocket might need 15 to 20 grand. Now you've got a tangible target that you can actually plan towards. What are you willing to do to get there? What are you willing to create? What are you willing to sacrifice? Because if you're not willing to make some small sacrifices now, you're going to be forced to make some massive sacrifices later. And if you follow the breadcrumbs, I said this before, if you follow the breadcrumbs, we are being set up for a lifetime of renting. That's what's happening. And you can see it across all levels. Melbourne seems to be the testing ground for most government policies in the world, in Australia, right? And they've started to increase the average rental agreement. Normally it's like 6 months, 12 months, 2 years. That's normal. They've started to implement policy for 10 to 20-year leases. They've also implemented a lot of things across the country now that it's harder for landlords to remove tenants. Tenants are legally allowed to have a dog or legally allowed to have pets inside, where before there was a choice. If they want to put if you want to hang a painting up on a wall, you've got to ask permission to put a nail in it. It's not the case anymore. So everything is being manufactured more in the tenant's favor to make a lifetime of renting more safe and secure. At the same time, the incentives that the government is giving to increase supply in the marketplace is not going to the everyday developer. It's not going to the everyday person. It's going to big corporations and superannuation funds and foreign investors with big money to come in and do build-to-rent properties in Australia. Now, what that means is that they will come in, they will build a big building or build a bunch of properties, not to sell them on the open marketplace, but to professionally manage them to rent out to everyday people. So they're giving massive tax advantages for that, for funds to do this. They're giving superannuation funds, overseas money, cutting huge levels of red tape to increase supply. They can do it for build to rent, but they can't do it for everyday real estate. So if you think about it, now they're not going on the open marketplace. So what that means is that there's less supply in the marketplace. These funds are being, real estate's being institutionalized. This is what's happening in Australia right now. So my point about saying that is that if you don't sort this pathway out for you in the next short period of time, you're going to be stuck as a lifetime of renting, not because you want to, but because you have to.
You've been forced.
It's forced. Choice is the key, right? Like, it's not about the amount of money you have. It's about the amount of choices that you have. And so, the whole World Economic Forum talks about the own nothing and be happy type of thing. And this is exactly where we're heading. Like, in all pathways, exactly what we're being engineered towards. And without putting my tinfoil hat on and conspiracy theories and things like that, like, the breadcrumbs are leading that way every single day. And so to me, in the future, first home buyers are going to be something you see in a museum. Then it's not going to be a thing. Property is going to be passed down from generation to generation. And the government's trying to tax that as well. But we're being engineered towards a lifetime of renting. And so this next 5 to 10 years, I think, is so radically important, it's not funny. Like, radically important, not just for you, but for your kids.
It's Yeah, I was reading about some things like that. It's coming, and people still living in the la la land.
Right.
They need to freaking wake up and see. If you happy renting, then don't complain.
Cool.
There's no issues. But if you really want to make a change, you gotta wake up.
Yeah.
And you have to cut down your there's $7, $8 lattes every day,
Yeah.
and then don't complain.
Yeah.
Talking about lattes, we only have very less time left. What bad debts or decision people are making right now that you recommend to cut it down before they get into investing?
Bad debts or decisions.
Just a
Ooh.
quick one, because I want to talk about the book as well.
Yeah,
before we
yeah,
finish.
I don't think anyone should. Like, a lot of people go, I'm going to pay off all my debt before I start investing. That's a terrible idea. Terrible idea.
The loop.
It's a loop.
Yeah.
How long is it going to take you to pay off your debt before you actually start investing? It's a shocking idea.
Yeah.
My whole thing with debts is that optimize your debts so it becomes get it into the lowest interest environment you possibly can.
Yes.
And there's bunches of things you can do around that. No matter how much debt you have, you should be investing. Even if it's $5 a week, then do that. You absolutely should
Get
be
the
investing.
habit on.
Do not wait. Build the habit of wealth creation. Don't build the habit of debt repayment, right?
Yes.
That's two different things, okay? So, like, getting rid of bad personal debt at 15 to 20% interest rates and credit cards, absolutely you should do that. There's no doubt about it, 100%. But not at the cost of actually building towards the future you want as well. So, to me, it's when you get clear on your numbers and you get clear on your finances, you all of a sudden you start to have this level of clarity, and that clarity brings this level of self-empowerment where you can understand what you can start optimizing for in your life, right? And you might have two optimizations to begin with. One, let's start investing, because everybody should be doing that, no doubt about it. The second one is, okay, we're going to then optimize to actually how we're going to decrease this high level of debt or convert from a high interest level to a low interest level with some various things that you could do, and you can start actually physically removing that, right? So my biggest thing there is, don't just default to the old script of what you think it is. Always ask the question, what's my outcome in 5 years? What do I need to do now that's going to help me optimize towards getting towards that outcome in the next 5 years?
Yeah.
As opposed to just defaulting to doing things because that's what your parents tell you to do or society does.
Yeah, anything like credit cards, car loans and stuff like that. Because people are buying high-end cars and then they're defaulting their payments just to be accepted in society.
Yeah.
Escape the Middle.
Yeah.
Who's this book for?
This is for, I wrote this book with universal principles in mind.
Right.
What that means is that anyone can pick this book up, and it is designed to be a blueprint out of this place called the middle. So, and as I said, the middle is the place where people arrive after they've been following the standard scripts that they've been living in life. And this is a step-by-step pathway to help you move out of it. Reprogram the mind to set up your personal finance system, take your first steps in the world of investing, make sure you're safe and protected so that you don't lose what you build, because I did that. It's not fun. That's for damn sure. And then how do you actually start investing and growing and scaling a wealth portfolio? Like, that's what that is designed to do.
Wow.
And it is a step-by-step. It is a blueprint. Anyone can pick that up and follow it, and you actually implement what's in there. Reading is great. Implementing is everything, right? So implement what's in there. Like, it will change your financial world. It's guaranteed to do that. There's no doubt about it in my mind, right? So this is really for anyone who's sitting there in life going, you know what, I want more. I believe that life is about more than working to pay the bills. I want more for my family. I want more opportunity. I want more choices to explore this beautiful world we live in. I want to be able to give back at a bigger way than I'm giving right now. And it's for people that understand that money is just a tool.
Yes.
It's not about the money. It's about the choice. Money is unit of choice. That's all it is. So the more units of choice that you have in your life, the better your world is going to be. There's no doubt about it. And especially in a world where there's so much control that's happening in our lives and how we live life and what we do, you've got to start moving towards this place called financial sovereignty, where your choices for your future are yours and yours alone and aren't going to be dictated by anybody else. And I believe that's a space that everyone needs to move through into at a greater level. There's no doubt about it.
Great. And I'm going to put all the links of the book where you can purchase it, and also how you can reach out Todd, because he educates people, he does seminars, and you can work with him for sure. We're going to put everything on the link on the bottom. Todd, we got 2 minutes left. A message for the people that you think they need to know and start working on it right now.
Yeah. My biggest thing is that it's possible.
Yeah.
Investing in wealth and success has not been quarantined for a certain group of people or certain people born under a lucky star or anything like that. It is possible for every single person out there. You just have to be willing to walk the path. You know, those that create success in any area of life, whether it be money, whether it be business, whether it be career, whether it be relationships, whether it be your health, they don't get there because they're born under a lucky star. They get there because they have a different system that they are following and improving and methodically working with.
Yeah.
And that system isn't something new. We just got to take the system and how we personalize that for your situation. And it's the same for wealth and success. Every single person, no matter what, I do not care your starting situation, who you are, where you're from, how old you are, how young you are. I do not give a flying hoot. It's possible for you. And the more that you can believe that and start walking, taking that first step towards it, the better your life is going to be in the future. And sometimes what we do, we have to lean on the belief that other people have in us while we're building our own. And what I know to be true is that I 100% know that every single person listening can do it. And lean on that belief until you're actually building within yourself. Because the only reason you don't have it yourself, because you haven't done it just yet in your life. But you will, and the more steps you take towards it, the more confident you're going to become, the more empowered you're going to become, the more you're going to become the quality of person that can build and create wealth in the first place, because you'll never out-earn yourself. And all you have to do is start taking that very first step.
That's amazing, man. That's it's a great message, and everybody know they have to take a step forward.
Yeah.
It's just they just still deciding, and I think if you want to start from somewhere, start from the book.
Yeah.
And because once you have studied the book, you know how Todd can help you to move forward and to understand where you want to go in the next 5 to 10 years. What's your goal? Not everybody want to buy 20 properties. Maybe some are happy in 5. But you need to know your why.
Yeah.
Why you want to do it. What's your number? You'll be happy. Your monthly income, I would say.
Yeah.
And Todd can make it possible for you. But you need to be ready to move forward.
Self-responsibility is
responsibility.
Everything. Yeah.
All right, Todd, that's us for today.
Awesome, man.
It was a great chat, and I'm sure when I go home, I forgot to ask this question, but you're always available, like on Instagram, you're very active. He's also starting his own podcast very soon because he has a lot of ideas and he has a lot of knowledge to share. He's working on it. He'll be out there soon. And I put a deadline because now he has to do it.
It's out there in the public now. There you go. Yeah.
And good luck to you for your new ventures. We didn't spoke about the birthing center, but go check it out on his socials. I will link that in bio as well. They're doing a great job. Something that's never been done before, I would say.
First independent licensed birthing center in Australia and one of the only ones in the world.
Yeah.
It's pretty special.
Yeah.
Matressen's birthing center is what it's called.
Yeah. And I will add that in the link as well. So for now, thank you for staying that long, and I hope you get some value out of it. And I'm very grateful for you guys supporting us. If you haven't subscribed to the channel for a Seed of Wisdom podcast, and follow Todd as well for lots of knowledge. He gives a lot of things for free. So take it, absorb it, and take a step forward. Thank you, Todd. Thanks
cool, man.
for today.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No problem. Thanks for that.